They wanted me banished from my homeland for life, but they never measured the power of God, the truth. Today, thanks to your prayers, thanks to the fact that the truth came to light, I have returned to my homeland.
That's Juan Hernández, the former Honduran president who was convicted in the United States on drug trafficking charges and pardoned by Trump last November. He's standing at his front door addressing a throng of supporters after finally returning to Honduras. I'm your host, Roman Gressier. From the studios of El Faro English, this is Central America in Minutes.
In Nicaragua, the house arrest of Daniel Ortega's brother
relates more to El Salvador and Honduras than to Guatemala. In the case of Guatemala,
globalism comes to die at CIPA, but in El Salvador, it's already dead.
Central America in Minutes, an original podcast by El Faro English.
Hernández returned to Honduras on July 26th. A large group of supporters and party activists went to the airport to welcome him with applause. He still faces charges in Honduras of fraud and money laundering brought by the public prosecutor's office. Honduran digital outlet Contracorriente reported that of the more than 288 million lempiras embezzled from the state through two foundations, at least 62 million of them, about $3 million US, were used directly and indirectly to finance Hernández's 2013 presidential campaign. Despite the charges, he was not arrested upon setting foot in Honduras because a judge had withdrawn the arrest warrant a month earlier. The defense argued that he would voluntarily appear in court and that he wasn't a flight risk. 2 years ago, Hernández was sentenced in New York to 45 years in prison for drug trafficking during his administration. He had been serving his sentence for just over a year when, 2 days before the November 2025 elections in Honduras, President Donald Trump pardoned him. That same day, Trump posted on social media that Hondurans should vote for Tito Asfura, the candidate of Hernández's national party. After the Trump bump, Asfura won the election and took office in January of this year. Hernández's case in the United States remained under review by a court of appeals until April. Then the court ruled that it made no sense to keep the case open since he'd already been granted a pardon and the case was closed. The former president did not miss the opportunity to publicly state that the court had declared him innocent of the drug trafficking charges. But the court's decision merely closed the case as he had already been released. With his party in power, Trump's support for President Asfura, and his case closed, Hernández prepared to return to his country. He stated in a post on X that he's returning as just another citizen to rebuild my life in peace and without any political or electoral ambitions. Now, from his home, he's awaiting a preliminary hearing scheduled for August 3rd, at which he will appear before the Honduran courts. The course of his legal proceedings in Honduras has yet to be seen. Hey, 1 second before we move on. Next week, we're on vacation for El Salvador's Fiestas Agustinas. That means no podcast, but we have some big news for you about the future of the show. Central American Minutes is about to make waves across the U.S. radio space with a new partnership. More details to come. Subscribe to our newsletter at ELFARO, that's elfaro.net/EN, and stay tuned. This week in Guatemala, a man deported from the United States and his wife, who self-deported to join him, were found dead in a sugarcane field. The couple had been missing since Monday, July 20th. When searchers found their bodies, their 14-month-old daughter was still beside them, according to Reuters. Nixon Giovanni Perez, 43, and Glendy Marisol Gonzalez, in her 20s, were found with their hands tied behind their backs in a field outside the city of Retalhuleu, 112 miles west of Guatemala City, near the border with Mexico. Perez was deported last year from Missouri, and Gonzalez self-deported in recent weeks, despite having an asylum court date set for 2027. The Trump administration has pushed self-deportation through a $915 million program and app known as CBP Home. It's designed to incentivize undocumented immigrants to leave the country, quote-unquote, voluntarily, with a cash payment and flight to the country. The official figures of just how many immigrants have self-deported since Trump returned to the White House are a point of debate. Late last year, the administration claimed that as many as 2 million people had self-deported or been removed since January 2025. But advocacy groups like the Center for Migration Studies of New York called that figure a lie and a logistical improbability. The center takes note of a survey by the New York Times and Kaiser Family Foundation that found that around 15% of all immigrants had considered leaving the country, but not that they had actually done so. From January through July 28th of this year, the Guatemalan Institute of Migration reported a total of 38,720 returnees to Guatemala. The statistics do not specify how many self-deported. Reporting by El Faro English has shown the human toll of deportation, from shattered life plans to those who picked up the pieces in Quetzaltenango, in the Western Highlands, and started over. But that wasn't the case for Nixon and Glendy. Now to El Salvador. Over the past 5 years, opposition parties have lost nearly all their political representation in national offices. They've been defeated by President Nayib Bukele's popularity and stifled by official hostility and funding restrictions. But for some, internal strife has seemed almost as intense as the external. Not only is Claudia Ortiz one of the most prominent figures in the opposition in El Salvador facing, quote, the dictatorship, she told us she's also clashing, quote, in vision with the leaders of her centrist minority party, Vamos. This is the subject of new reporting by Leyrian Colón Santiago and Gabriel Labrador in El Faro English this week. In El Salvador, 57 of 60 seats in the legislature are held by the ruling party Nuevas Ideas and allies. Ortiz is the party's only sitting assemblywoman, and she's known more for her opposition to Bukele than for any other policy. She's running for her third term in the national elections on February 28th. El Faro interviewed her and the party's Secretary General, Cecia Rivas, who is also, uncomfortably, Ortiz's alternate in the assembly. Their visions were visibly at odds, especially over the broader strategy needed to mount any substantive resistance to Bukele after the elections. In the national election set for February 28th of next year, Ortiz asserts that she and other party members see the need to form alliances with diverse sectors and ideologies. But the rest of Vamos decided in November not to form party coalitions, nor to accept former members of other political groups in their ranks. But the Secretary General, Rivas, said it isn't true that the party is not seeking alliances. Quote, 90% of the candidates didn't previously belong to Vamos. If that isn't opening up the party, I don't know what is, she told us. Ortiz said she tried to get more people to join Vamos, but party leadership rejected 30 of around 150 candidates, in part because they were former members of other parties. Vamos is the third most preferred party for the 2027 legislative elections, according to a June poll by Central American University. But in a country where nearly 9 out of 10 Salvadorans say they support Bukele, more than 60% said they had no party preference. 7 months before the elections, the rift in Vamos is simmering. Claudia Ortiz had originally planned to run for president in 2029 until Bukele moved the elections forward and extended the next term from 2027 to 2033. We'll have to plan for who knows when, she told us. Now the rules are that the rules can be changed at any time. Thanks for listening. This episode of Central American Minutes was written by Juliana Ramazzini, Leyrian Colón Santiago, Megan Mandrachio, and Gabriel Labrador. Editing by me, Roman Gressier, and sound design by Omnian. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, keep an eye on our homepage. Hasta pronto.